The clock on the emergency room wall showed 11:47 p.m. when Lisa heard the familiar wail of ambulance sirens cutting through the quiet night. She had been a nurse at Metro General Hospital for 6 years, and that sound still made her heart race, even after all this time. Tonight felt different, though. Maybe it was because she was already exhausted from covering an extra shift. Or maybe it was just intuition, but something told her this call would be serious. Lisa quickly tied her brown hair back into a ponytail and checked her supplies one more time. The coffee she had been nursing had gone cold hours ago, but there was no time to think about that now. The automatic doors burst open, and the paramedics rushed in with their patient. Male, 34 years old, construction accident at the downtown site, called out Jake, one of the senior paramedics Lisa knew well. Heavy machinery fell on him. We've got massive internal bleeding, possible spleen rupture, and he's lost a lot of blood already. Lisa's training kicked in immediately. She grabbed one side of the stretcher and helped guide it toward Trauma Room 3. The man on the stretcher was unconscious, his face pale as paper. His work clothes were torn and stained with blood, and Lisa could see his breathing was shallow and labored. "What's his name?" she asked Jake as they transferred the patient to the hospital bed. "Alex Wilson, according to his ID. No emergency contacts listed except for a daughter. We're trying to reach the babysitter now." Dr. Rodriguez, the attending physician, immediately began his examination. "His blood pressure is dropping fast. We need to get him to surgery now, but first we need blood. What's his type?" The lab technician, who had rushed in behind them, looked grim as he checked the quick test results. "AB negative," he announced. The room fell silent for a moment. Everyone in the medical field knew what that meant. AB negative was one of the rarest blood types found in less than 1% of the population. It was often called the universal plasma donor, but when someone with AB negative blood needed a transfusion, their options were extremely limited. "How much AB negative do we have in the blood bank?" Dr. Rodriguez asked, though his tone suggested he already suspected the answer. "We've got 2 units," replied the technician. "But that's not going to be enough for a surgery like this. He's already lost at least 4 units, and if there are complications during the operation..." Dr. Rodriguez ran his hands through his hair, a gesture Lisa recognized as his way of dealing with stress. "Call the regional blood center. See if they can rush some units over." "Already did," said the technician. "They're completely out. The nearest supply is in Atlanta, and even if we flew it in, it would take at least 4 hours. Maybe longer with the weather." Lisa looked down at Alex. Even unconscious, she could see the worry lines around his eyes. This was someone's father, someone who probably kissed his daughter goodnight just hours ago, never imagining he wouldn't be coming home. The thought of an 8-year-old girl losing her dad made Lisa's chest tighten. "What about local donors?" she asked. "Can we put out an emergency call? At this time of night? And with such a rare blood type?" Dr. Rodriguez shook his head. "We'd be lucky to find one person, and they'd still have to come in, get tested, and go through the donation process. We don't have that kind of time." Lisa's mind was racing. She thought about her last visit to donate blood 8 weeks ago. The nurse had made a note in her file about her blood type, AB negative. It was so rare that they always encouraged her to donate regularly. She remembered joking with her coworker Jenny that being AB negative made her feel special, like she was part of an exclusive club. "I'm AB negative," Lisa said quietly. Everyone in the room turned to look at her. Dr. Rodriguez raised an eyebrow. "Lisa, when was your last donation?" 8 weeks ago, almost exactly." The standard waiting period between donations was 8 weeks, and Lisa knew she was cutting it close. "Have you been feeling well? Any illness, travel, new medications?" "Nothing. I'm healthy." Lisa looked down at Alex again. His breathing seemed even more shallow than before. "Can we do a direct transfusion?" Dr. Rodriguez hesitated. Direct transfusions, where blood went straight from donor to recipient, were rare in modern medicine. They were usually reserved for emergency situations in remote locations or when blood bank supplies were unavailable. There were risks involved, and the procedure required careful monitoring. "Lisa, you know the risks, and you've already given recently. I can't ask you to..." "You're not asking," Lisa interrupted. "I'm volunteering." The head nurse, Mrs. Patterson, stepped forward. She was a woman in her 50s who had seen everything during her 30-year career. "Are you sure about this, honey? You've been on your feet for 14 hours already." Lisa thought about her own family. She and her husband Mark had been trying to have children for 3 years. Every month brought the same disappointment, the same empty feeling. Maybe she couldn't create life, but tonight she could save one. And somewhere out there was a little girl who needed her father to come home. "I'm sure," she said firmly. The next 20 minutes moved like a blur. Lisa was quickly tested to confirm her blood type and screened for any immediate health issues. The lab ran a rapid compatibility test between her blood and Alex's. While they waited for results, Dr. Rodriguez explained the procedure one more time. "We'll take you to the room next door and set up the direct line. You'll be connected to Alex through tubing, and we'll carefully monitor the flow rate. You'll likely feel tired and weak afterward, so you'll need to rest for a few hours before you can drive home." "That's fine," Lisa said, already rolling up her sleeve. The compatibility test came back perfect. Within an hour of the ambulance arriving, Lisa was lying on a bed next to Alex, watching her blood flow through clear tubing into his body. It was strange, almost intimate in a way. This complete stranger was literally receiving life from her veins. "How are you feeling?" asked Janet, the nurse monitoring the transfusion. "Okay so far. A little dizzy, but not too bad." Lisa turned her head to look at Alex. Some color had returned to his face and his breathing seemed steadier. "Is he going to be okay?" "The surgery team is prepping now. Thanks to you, he's got a real fighting chance." As Lisa lay there, she found herself wondering about Alex Wilson. What kind of work did he do? Was he married? What was his daughter like? She imagined a little girl with his dark hair, maybe waiting up past her bedtime, wondering why Daddy was taking so long to come home from work. The transfusion took nearly 2 hours. By the time it was finished, Lisa felt exhausted but strangely peaceful. She had done something that mattered tonight, something that might change a family's entire future. As they wheeled Alex toward the operating room, Dr. Rodriguez stopped by Lisa's bedside. "The surgery will take several hours, but his vital signs have stabilized completely. You saved his life tonight." Lisa smiled weakly, the fatigue finally catching up with her. "I just hope he gets to see his daughter again." She didn't know it then, but those words would prove more prophetic than she could ever imagine. Lisa woke up the next morning in one of the hospital's restrooms, feeling like she'd been hit by a truck. Her head was pounding, and her arm was sore where the needle had been. She checked her phone, 9:30 a.m. She had slept for almost 6 hours, which was more rest than she'd gotten in weeks. Janet knocked softly on the door. "How are you feeling, honey?" "Like I got run over, but I'll survive." Lisa sat up slowly, testing her balance. "How did the surgery go?" Janet's face broke into a smile. "Perfect. Dr. Rodriguez said it was touch and go for a while, but your blood gave him exactly what he needed to pull through. He's awake now, actually asking for ice chips." Relief washed over Lisa like a warm wave. She had spent the few hours before falling asleep, wondering if her sacrifice had been enough, replaying every moment of the night in her head. Now knowing that Alex was okay, she felt a lightness in her chest she hadn't expected. "Can I see him?" "He's been asking about the nurse who saved his life." "Room 314. Lisa made her way to the 3rd floor, still feeling a bit wobbly. Through the doorway of room 314, she could see Alex propped up in bed, looking much better than he had 12 hours ago. His color had returned, and though he looked tired, his eyes were alert and focused. "You must be Lisa," he said when he saw her in the doorway. His voice was hoarse but warm. "I heard you're the reason I'm still here." Lisa felt suddenly shy. In all her years as a nurse, she'd never had a patient thank her quite like this. "I just did what anyone would do." "No," Alex said, shaking his head carefully. "Not anyone. The doctors told me what you did. You gave me your blood when you weren't even supposed to donate yet. You risked your own health for a complete stranger." Before Lisa could respond, a small voice came from the corner of the room. "Are you the lady who helped my daddy?" Lisa turned to see a little girl, maybe 7 or 8 years old, sitting in a chair by the window. She had Alex's dark hair, but it was longer, tied back in 2 neat braids. Her eyes were the same warm brown as her father's, but they held a seriousness that seemed too old for her young face. "Mia, come here," Alex said softly. "I want you to meet Lisa." Mia approached cautiously, clutching a stuffed rabbit that had seen better days. "Thank you for making my daddy better," she said in a voice barely above a whisper. Lisa knelt down to be at eye level with the little girl. "You're very welcome, sweetheart. How are you doing? This must have been pretty scary." Mia nodded, then surprised Lisa by stepping closer. Mrs. Henderson, our babysitter, said Daddy might not come home. I was really scared. Lisa's heart ached for this child. She could only imagine what it must have been like, getting a call in the middle of the night that her father was hurt. Well, your daddy is very strong and he's going to be just fine now. The doctor said you gave him your blood. Does that mean you're like family now? The innocent question caught both adults off guard. Alex chuckled softly from his hospital bed. That's not exactly how it works, sweetheart. But Lisa will always be very special to our family. Over the next few days, Lisa found herself stopping by room 314 whenever her schedule allowed. She told herself it was just a check on a patient, but the truth was more complicated. There was something about Alex and Mia that drew her in. Maybe it was the way Alex's face lit up when Mia told him about her day at school, or how he braided her hair with surprising skill for a dad. Maybe it was how Mia had started calling her Miss Lisa and saving her drawings from school to show her. You don't have to keep checking on us, Alex said one afternoon as Lisa brought Mia some crayons from the pediatric ward. I'm sure you have other patients who need your attention. I'm off duty, actually, Lisa said, settling into the chair beside his bed. My husband is working late again, so I figured I'd come see how you're doing. You're married? Mia looked up from her coloring. Do you have kids? The question hit Lisa harder than she expected. No, sweetie. Not yet. Alex seemed to sense there was more to that story, but he didn't push. Instead, he watched as Mia showed Lisa her drawing, a picture of 3 stick figures holding hands in front of a building that was obviously meant to be the hospital. That's you. Me and Daddy, Mia explained proudly. See? You're wearing the white coat like all the other nurses. It's beautiful, Lisa said, and she meant it. Can I keep it? Mia nodded enthusiastically. Daddy says you saved his life, so you can have all my pictures if you want. That evening, as visiting hours were ending, Alex asked Mia to wait in the hallway while he talked to Lisa privately. Once his daughter was out of earshot, he reached for the drawer in his bedside table. I want to give you something, he said, pulling out a check. It's not much compared to what you did for me, but no. Lisa's response was immediate and firm. Absolutely not. Lisa, please. You saved my life. You gave me a chance to see my daughter grow up. That's worth everything to me. Lisa looked at the check. The amount made her eyes widen. It was more money than she made in 3 months. But something about accepting it felt wrong, like it would somehow cheapen what had happened between them. Alex, I didn't save your life for money. I did it because it was the right thing to do. Because somewhere out there was a little girl who needed her daddy to come home. Alex stared at her for a long moment. You know, I've met a lot of people in my life, and most of them have wanted something from me. But you, he shook his head in wonder. You really don't want anything, do you? I want you to get better. I want Mia to be happy. That's enough. Alex slowly tore up the check. You're unlike anyone I've ever met, Lisa. As the days passed, Alex grew stronger. The doctors said he'd make a full recovery, though he'd need to take it easy for a few weeks. Lisa continued her visits, bringing books for Alex and small toys for Mia. She learned that Alex worked in some kind of business. He was vague about the details and that he'd been raising Mia alone since his wife died 3 years ago. It's not easy, he admitted one afternoon while Mia napped in the chair beside his bed. Some days I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing. She's been having nightmares since the accident. That's normal, Lisa said gently. She almost lost the most important person in her world. It'll take time for her to feel safe again. You're good with her, Alex observed. She talks about you all the time. Miss Lisa this, Miss Lisa that. You've made this whole experience so much easier for both of us. Lisa felt a warmth spread through her chest. She'd never had anyone depend on her the way Mia seemed to, and it felt both terrifying and wonderful. She's a special little girl. You're doing a great job with her. Alex was quiet for a moment, then said, Lisa, can I ask you something personal? She nodded. Earlier when Mia asked about kids, you seemed, I don't know, sad maybe. Is everything okay at home? Lisa hesitated. She barely knew Alex, but something about him made her want to be honest. My husband and I have been trying to have children for a while now. It hasn't happened yet. I'm sorry. That must be difficult. It is. Lisa surprised herself by continuing. Mark thinks we should just accept that it might not happen, but I can't let go of the dream yet. Alex reached over and gently squeezed her hand. Don't give up. Some of the best things in life are worth waiting for. As Lisa walked home that night, she found herself thinking about Alex's words. She also found herself thinking about how natural it felt to sit by his bedside. How much she looked forward to seeing both him and Mia each day. For the first time in months, she felt genuinely happy about something. She just wasn't sure what that meant yet. 3 weeks after the accident, Alex was finally discharged from the hospital. Lisa felt a strange emptiness as she watched him pack his few belongings into a small duffel bag. She had grown accustomed to their daily conversations, to Mia's excited chatter about school, to the way Alex's face would soften whenever he looked at his daughter. "I'm going to miss seeing you two every day," Lisa said, helping Mia gather her coloring books. "You don't have to stop seeing us," Alex said quietly. "I mean, if you want to stay in touch, I know you probably have your own life to get back to, but I'd like that," Lisa said quickly, perhaps too quickly. "I mean, I'd like to make sure you're both doing okay." Mia tugged on Lisa's scrubs. "Can you come to our house sometime? Daddy makes really good pancakes on Sundays." Alex looked embarrassed. "Mia, Miss Lisa is busy. She has her own family to take care of." But Lisa was already nodding. "I'd love to see your house, Mia. And I happen to love pancakes." That Sunday, Lisa found herself driving through a quiet neighborhood she'd never visited before. The houses were nice but modest, with small yards and friendly front porches. Alex's house was a 2-story blue one with white shutters and a swing on the front porch. It looked like the kind of place where a child could grow up feeling safe and loved. Mia met her at the door, practically bouncing with excitement. "Miss Lisa, come see my room first." Alex appeared behind his daughter, flower in his dark hair and a smile on his face. "Sorry. She's been waiting by the window for 20 minutes. Mia's room was exactly what Lisa had expected. Walls covered with her artwork, stuffed animals arranged carefully on the bed, and books stacked on every available surface. What surprised Lisa was how many of the drawings featured 3 people instead of 2. "This is you, me, and Daddy at the park," Mia explained, pointing to one particularly colorful picture. "And this is us having a picnic. And this is us at my school play." Lisa's heart did something funny in her chest. "These are beautiful, sweetheart." Over pancakes, Lisa learned more about their life. Alex worked from home most days, which allowed him to be there when Mia got off the school bus. He'd been doing that since his wife Rachel died, wanting to be as present as possible for his daughter. "It gets lonely sometimes," Alex admitted as Mia ran outside to play on her swing set. "I have friends, but they don't really understand what it's like raising a kid alone. They invite me to things, but I can't just leave Mia with anyone." "What about family?" "My parents live in California, and Rachel's parents moved to Florida after she died. They visit a few times a year, but day to day it's just me and Mia." Lisa understood loneliness, though hers was different. Her house with Mark felt empty even when they were both there. They used to talk for hours about their future children, picking out names and planning family vacations. Now they barely talked at all. "How's she doing?" "After the accident, I mean." Alex's expression grew serious. "She's having nightmares. Wakes up crying, asking if I'm okay. The counselor says it's normal, that she almost lost her sense of security when I got hurt. That's understandable. Maybe it would help if she could talk to someone who was there that night, someone who could explain what happened in a way she could understand." Alex looked at her hopefully. "Would you be willing to do that?" Lisa found herself visiting more and more often. Sometimes she'd stop by after work, bringing Chinese takeout or helping Mia with her homework. Other times she'd come on weekends and they'd do simple things like go to the park or watch movies together. She loved watching Alex be a father. He was patient in ways that amazed her, never losing his temper even when Mia had meltdowns about her nightmares. He knew exactly how to braid her hair, which stories to read at bedtime, and how to make her laugh when she was sad. "You're so good with her," Lisa told him one evening as they cleaned up after dinner. Mia was upstairs taking a bath, singing loudly and slightly off-key. "I had to learn fast," Alex said. "When Rachel got sick, I took over most of the parenting duties. After she died, I was terrified I'd mess it up. Some days I still am. You're not messing it up. Mia is lucky to have you." Alex paused in his dishwashing. "Can I ask you something? And you can tell me to mind my own business if I'm overstepping." Lisa nodded. "Things seem tense when you talk about your husband. Is everything okay at home?" Lisa had been dreading this question, but she also found herself wanting to answer honestly. "Mark and I are going through a rough patch. We've been trying to have children for 3 years, and it's put a strain on everything. He thinks we should give up and just accept that we might not have kids. But I'm not ready to let go of that dream yet. I'm sorry. That must be incredibly difficult. It is. And spending time with Mia makes it both better and harder. You know? Better because I get to experience what it might be like to have a daughter, but harder because I go home to an empty house. Alex was quiet for a moment. For what it's worth, you're a natural with kids. Mia adores you. As if summoned by their conversation, Mia appeared in the kitchen doorway in her pajamas, her damp hair curling around her face. Miss Lisa, will you read me a story? Of course, sweetheart. Upstairs in Mia's room, Lisa settled into the reading chair while Mia climbed into bed with her stuffed rabbit. They'd read 3 chapters of a book about a girl who could talk to animals when Mia suddenly looked up at Lisa with serious eyes. Miss Lisa, are you going to stay with us forever? The question caught Lisa off guard. What do you mean, honey? I mean, are you going to be my new mommy? Lisa's heart stopped. She could hear Alex's footsteps on the stairs, probably coming to say goodnight. Sweetie, it's not that simple. But you love me, right? And you love Daddy? Before Lisa could answer, Alex appeared in the doorway. He'd clearly heard at least part of the conversation because his cheeks were flushed. Mia, we talked about this, he said gently. Miss Lisa has her own family, but she's here all the time now, and she makes you smile the way Mommy used to. Lisa felt tears prick her eyes. Out of the mouths of babes, she looked at Alex, who was studying the floor with intense concentration. I need to get going, Lisa said softly. It's getting late. She kissed Mia goodnight and headed downstairs. Alex following behind her. At the front door, they stood in awkward silence for a moment. I'm sorry about that, Alex said finally. She's been asking a lot of questions lately about families and why some kids have 2 parents and others don't. It's okay. She's just trying to understand her world. Lisa. Alex started, then stopped. Never mind. What? I was going to say something, but I don't want to make things complicated. Lisa looked at him, this man who had somehow become so important to her in such a short time. Things are already complicated, Alex. He stepped closer. Mia's not wrong, you know, about you making me smile again. I haven't felt this happy since before Rachel got sick. Lisa's breath caught. Alex, I know you're married. I know this situation is impossible, but I can't pretend I don't have feelings for you. Standing there in his doorway, Lisa realized she couldn't pretend either. Somewhere between saving his life and falling in love with his daughter, she'd also fallen for him. The thought terrified and thrilled her at the same time. I should go, she whispered. Will you come back? Lisa looked up into his warm brown eyes and knew she couldn't stay away even if she wanted to. Yes, she said. I'll come back. Lisa's phone buzzed during her lunch break at the hospital 2 months after Alex's accident. It was a text from her friend Jenny, who worked in the business section of the local newspaper. Girl, you need to see today's paper. Front page of the business section. Call me ASAP. Confused, Lisa made her way to the hospital lobby where they kept copies of the daily newspaper. She flipped to the business section and nearly dropped the paper when she saw the headline, Local Tech CEO Returns to Work After Near-Fatal Accident. But it wasn't the headline that made her heart stop. It was the large photo underneath it. Alex, wearing an expensive-looking suit, standing in front of a gleaming office building with Wilson Technologies emblazoned across the front. The caption read, Alexander Wilson, CEO and founder of Wilson Technologies, back at headquarters after recovering from a construction site accident that nearly cost him his life. Lisa read the article 3 times, each word sinking in slowly. Wilson Technologies, a company worth over $200 million. Software development and artificial intelligence, founded 8 years ago after Alex graduated from Stanford, with degrees in computer science and business, one of the city's most successful young entrepreneurs. Her hands were shaking as she called Jenny back. Did you see it? Jenny asked immediately. I can't believe this, Lisa whispered. Jenny, I know him. You know Alexander Wilson? The millionaire tech guy. He's not a millionaire tech guy to me. He's just Alex. The single dad who makes pancakes on Sunday mornings and braids his daughter's hair for school. Lisa, what are you talking about? Lisa explained everything. The accident, the blood donation, the friendship that had developed over the past 2 months. Jenny listened in stunned silence. So you're telling me you've been hanging out with one of the richest men in the state and you had no idea? He never said anything. I thought he did some kind of computer work from home. He drives a regular car, lives in a regular neighborhood. His house is nice but not fancy. How was I supposed to know? Most people would have figured it out by now, Lisa. Didn't you ever wonder why he didn't seem worried about missing work? Or how he could afford to stay in the hospital for 3 weeks? Lisa realized how naive she must sound, but the truth was, she'd been so focused on Alex the father and Alex the man that she'd never really questioned the details of his professional life. That evening, Lisa sat in her car outside Alex's house for 15 minutes before finally working up the courage to knock on the door. Mia answered with her usual enthusiasm. "Miss Lisa, Daddy's making tacos for dinner. Do you want to stay?" Lisa looked past Mia to where Alex was standing in the kitchen doorway. Even from across the room, she could see the guilt written all over his face. "We need to talk," she said quietly. Alex nodded and asked Mia to play in her room for a few minutes. Once they were alone in the living room, Lisa pulled the folded newspaper from her purse and placed it on the coffee table. "When were you planning to tell me?" she asked. Alex sat down heavily on the couch. "I don't know. I've wanted to tell you so many times, but I was afraid of how you'd react. How I'd react. Alex, I've been worried about you financially. I brought you groceries because I thought you might be struggling while you recovered. I felt bad about all the takeout dinners I was buying because I thought you were on a tight budget. I know, and I should have stopped you, but what? You thought it was funny, watching the poor nurse try to help the secret millionaire?" Alex looked stricken. "No, Lisa, it was never about that. It was the opposite, actually." "Then explain it to me, because right now I feel like everything between us has been a lie." Alex ran his hands through his hair, a gesture Lisa had come to recognize as his way of dealing with stress. "Do you know what it's like being wealthy and single? Every woman I meet, once they find out about the money, everything changes. They start acting different, wanting different things. After Rachel died, I went on a few dates, and it was always the same story. They'd Google me, find out about Wilson Technologies, and suddenly I wasn't Alex the widowed father anymore. I was Alex the rich guy who could solve all their problems." Lisa was quiet, processing his words. "When I met you in that hospital room, you had no idea who I was. You saw me as just another patient, just another father who needed help. And when I offered you money to thank you for saving my life, you turned it down flat. Do you have any idea how rare that is in my world? So you decided to keep lying to me?" "I wasn't lying exactly. I was just not volunteering information." "Alex, that's the same thing." "I know." He looked at her with pleading eyes. "But for the first time in years, someone cared about me for who I really am, not what I can buy them or how I can change their life. You fell for the real me, the guy who burns pancakes sometimes and doesn't know how to French braid hair properly and worries constantly about whether he's screwing up his daughter's life." Lisa stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the quiet street. "I need some air." She stepped onto the front porch, Alex following behind her. They sat on the porch swing in silence for several minutes. "I've been thinking about us," Lisa said finally. "About where this was all heading, and I was scared because I'm married and I'm falling for you and I didn't know how to handle any of it. But this makes it so much more complicated. Why?" "Because I have money?" Lisa turned to face him. "Because you live in a completely different world than I do. Because you kept something this big from me for 2 months. Because I don't know what else you haven't told me." "There's nothing else, Lisa, I swear. How do I know that? How do I know you aren't married to some socialite? How do I know you don't have 10 other women you're seeing? Because you know me. The real me. The money doesn't change who I am as a person, doesn't it? Alex, you could have any woman you want. Why would you be interested in a married nurse who can't even have children?" The words came out before Lisa could stop them, and she immediately regretted the pain that flashed across Alex's face. "Is that really what you think? That I'm with you because I can't do better?" Before Lisa could answer, the front door opened and Mia peeked out. "Are you guys fighting?" she asked, in a small voice. Lisa's heart broke a little at the worry in the child's voice. "We're just talking, sweetie. About grown-up stuff," Alex added. "Why don't you go get ready for your bath?" After Mia went back inside, Alex turned to Lisa again. "I understand why you're upset. I should have told you sooner. But please don't let this change everything between us. Everything has changed, Alex. You're not the person I thought you were. I'm exactly the person you thought I was. I just have more money than you realized." Lisa stood up. "I need time to think about this. Will you still come see Mia? Whatever happens between us, she's grown so attached to you." Lisa looked through the window at Mia, who was now sitting on the living room floor with her coloring books, probably trying to listen to their conversation. "I don't know. Lisa said honestly. I don't know anything anymore. As she walked to her car, Lisa heard Alex call out softly, "For what it's worth, I never meant to hurt you." She drove home in a daze, her mind spinning with questions and doubts. When she got to her house, Mark was already asleep. She sat at the kitchen table with a cup of tea, staring at the newspaper article and wondering how she had gotten herself into such a complicated situation. One thing was clear: nothing would ever be simple again. For 3 weeks, Lisa avoided Alex's calls and text messages. She threw herself into work, picking up extra shifts and volunteering for the most difficult assignments. But every time she walked past room 314, she remembered that night when everything changed. Every time she saw a little girl with braids, she thought of Mia. The breaking point came when she found herself crying in the hospital supply closet after seeing a father teaching his daughter to tie her shoes in the waiting room. Janet found her there sitting on a box of medical supplies with tears streaming down her face. "Honey, what's going on? You've been walking around like a ghost for weeks." Lisa told her everything. The whole complicated story from the blood donation to the newspaper article. Janet listened without interrupting, occasionally handing Lisa more tissues. "So let me get this straight," Janet said when Lisa finished. "You're in love with a good man who's a devoted father, and you're upset because he has money. It's not about the money. It's about the lying. Did he lie, though? Or did he just not mention something that wasn't relevant at the time?" Lisa was quiet, thinking about Janet's question. "Lisa, in 6 years of working with you, I've never seen you as happy as you were these past few months. Even when you were exhausted from double shifts, you'd light up talking about Alex and Mia. Don't you think you owe it to yourself to figure out if this is real?" That afternoon, Lisa made a decision that had been building for months. She went home and found Mark in his office, working on his laptop as usual. "Mark, we need to talk." He looked up, and Lisa could see in his expression that he already knew what was coming. "This is about the guy from the hospital, isn't it?" he said quietly. Lisa sat down across from him. "How did you know?" "Lisa, you've been different for months. Happier, but also distant. You light up when you talk about that little girl, but you barely talk to me anymore. I'm sorry. I never meant for this to happen." Mark closed his laptop and really looked at her for the first time in weeks. "Are you in love with him?" Lisa felt tears prick her eyes. "Yes, and the child? I love her too. More than I thought possible." Mark was quiet for a long moment. "I've been thinking about us too, Lisa. About where we went wrong. We used to be so happy together, but somewhere along the way we stopped being a team. We became two people living in the same house, both disappointed about the same thing. The baby thing." "The baby thing," he agreed. "And maybe that wasn't fair to either of us. Maybe we were so focused on what we couldn't have that we forgot to appreciate what we did have." They talked for hours that night, the most honest conversation they'd had in years. By morning, they'd both agreed that their marriage had been over long before Alex came into the picture. They would divorce, but as friends who had simply grown apart. 2 days later, Lisa found herself standing outside Alex's office building. Wilson Technologies was housed in a sleek glass tower downtown, and Lisa felt intimidated just walking into the lobby. The receptionist called up to Alex's office, and within minutes he appeared in the elevator. "Lisa," he said, and she could hear the hope and uncertainty in his voice. "Can we talk?" His office was on the 20th floor, with windows that looked out over the entire city. Lisa tried not to be impressed by the expensive furniture and the awards lining the walls, but it was hard to reconcile this setting with the man who made Sunday pancakes in a modest kitchen. "I've missed you," Alex said as soon as they were alone. "We both have. Mia keeps asking when Miss Lisa is coming back." "I've missed you too," Lisa admitted. "Both of you. Does that mean you've forgiven me?" Lisa looked out the window at the city below. "I understand why you didn't tell me. I even understand why you were scared to. But Alex, if we're going to have any kind of future together, there can't be any more secrets. There won't be, I promise, and I need you to understand something too. I'm getting divorced." Alex's eyes widened. "Because of us? Because Mark and I stopped being happy together a long time ago. This situation just made us both realize it." Alex stepped closer to her. "What does this mean for us?" "I don't know yet. This is all so overwhelming. Your life, your world, it's so different from mine. My life is Mia and work and worrying about whether I'm doing everything right as a single parent. The money doesn't change that." Lisa studied his face, seeing the same man she'd fallen for in that hospital room. Show me. Show you what? Show me that the money doesn't matter. Show me who you really are when you're not trying to hide anything. Over the next few months, Alex did exactly that. He took Lisa and Mia to simple places, the zoo, the park, ice cream shops. When they went somewhere expensive, he made sure Lisa was comfortable and never made her feel out of place. Most importantly, he showed her his heart. Lisa watched him volunteer at Mia's school, reading to kindergarten classes and helping with the computer lab. She saw him donate anonymously to the hospital's children's wing. She witnessed him staying up all night when Mia had the flu, holding her hair back and reading stories until she fell asleep. You know, Lisa said one evening as they cleaned up after dinner at Alex's house, I've been thinking about something Mia said months ago. What's that? She asked if you giving me your blood made us family. Maybe she was onto something. Alex stopped drying dishes and turned to look at her. Lisa. Before he could finish his sentence, Mia came running into the kitchen. Miss Lisa, look what I made at school today. It was a Mother's Day card, even though Mother's Day was still weeks away. On the front was a drawing of 3 people holding hands, and inside, in Mia's careful 7-year-old handwriting, it said, Thank you for taking care of me and Daddy. Love, Mia. Lisa felt tears spring to her eyes. Mia, this is beautiful, but sweetie, I'm not your mom. Mia looked confused. But you take care of me like a mom, and you make Daddy smile, and you love us, right? Lisa knelt down to Mia's level. I do love you. So much. Then you're my mom in my heart. That night after Mia was asleep, Alex and Lisa sat on the front porch swing where they'd had their first fight about his identity. I have something I want to show you, Alex said, pulling out his phone. I've been working on this for weeks, but I wasn't sure how to tell you about it. He showed her a website for something called the Lisa Martinez Nursing Scholarship Foundation. Alex, what is this? It's a scholarship program for nursing students who want to work in emergency medicine. Full tuition, books, everything. I've already funded it for the next 10 years. Lisa stared at the screen. You named it after me? You saved my life with your selfless act of kindness. I want to help other people like you get the education they need to save lives too. I can't believe you did this. There's more. Alex got down on one knee right there on the porch swing, pulling out a small velvet box. Lisa Martinez, you gave me my life back that night in the hospital. But more than that, you gave me back my ability to love, to hope, to believe that good people still exist in this world. You've been the mother Mia never thought she'd have again, and you've been the partner I never thought I deserved. Lisa's hands flew to her mouth. Will you marry me? Will you let us be a real family? Through her tears, Lisa could see Mia's face pressed against her bedroom window upstairs, clearly having snuck out of bed to watch. Yes, Lisa whispered. Yes, I'll marry you. As Alex slipped the ring onto her finger, Mia's excited cheering could be heard from upstairs, making them both laugh through their tears. 6 months later, they were married in the hospital chapel where their story began. Lisa wore a simple white dress, Mia was the flower girl, and the entire emergency room staff attended. Dr. Rodriguez walked Lisa down the aisle, and Janet was her maid of honor. During his vows, Alex promised to love Lisa not just as his wife, but as the woman who had shown him that the best things in life couldn't be bought. They had to be given freely, from the heart. Lisa's vows were simple. I promise to love you both for exactly who you are, not what you have or what you can give me, but for the family you've let me become a part of. As they kissed for the first time as husband and wife, Lisa thought about that night 8 months.